Hi, you came here today wondering what could be so bad that it will kill my success. You're probably thinking I'm going to be the 1000th person to tell you that it's your mindset, it's the way you think. To be successful, you need to think like a champ. Or you think I'm going to tell you that without the law of attraction and the ability to visualize success, you will never be successful. Not even close. What then? What could be the one thing that can so easily kill your chances at success? Your environment. It is one of the least mentioned things, but could literally keep you from going anywhere worthwhile. Today, I'm going to share with you 5 parts of your environment and how you can design an environment built for success. Don't go anywhere. The last one is not something you think about when talking environment, but it could be the most important one. My name is Frank, and welcome to the Boundless Mind. So, when I speak about the environment, what exactly do I mean? Obviously, I'm not talking about the environment in the same sense as someone talking about global warming or something like that. I'm talking about your personal environment. Let's break it down into 5 parts and see the functions that they each serve. Let's start with the most obvious, your physical environment, the space or spaces in which you live and function. Let's imagine for a moment that you want to write a book, but you can't do it at home for some reason. So, I give you a choice between 2 spaces that I can accommodate you in. The first is a hotel suite. It's on the side of the ocean. It has a maid that keeps it clean. She brings fresh flowers every morning. The second is a small table in the middle of a steel factory where we stamp out car parts. And the average temperature is insanely hot because of all the melted steel around you. Can you see how the first environment might help you write a little better? You may even end up with very different books if you tried in both places. Now, of course, this is exaggerated, but it goes to show the impact that the physical space around you can have. Smaller changes can have an impact as well. If your space is filled with things that constantly grab your attention, writing in it might still prove difficult. If you hate the colors of the walls, if the space is too small and you feel claustrophobic in it, if there is no light, if it smells like crap, all these things will have an impact. I'm sure you've experienced walking into a space and getting a certain feeling from it. An entire industry has been built around this concept. People get paid great amounts of money to stage houses for sale because the way buyers feel when they visit will absolutely influence their decision. Now, it's important to note that you won't always be in a position to do big changes to your space, and you often have to work with what you have with the best of your abilities. In those cases, look for small changes. Maybe you have no money and you can't afford to paint, get decorations. Obviously, fresh flowers are out of the question, but maybe you can control the sound, the smell, with little or no money. Maybe you can burn incense, essential oils, play music that puts you in the right frame of mind. Make sure it's uncluttered. Whatever small changes you make, they will have their influence, however small it may be. And it's compounding, so it'll add up. Now, we've already mentioned your second environment while discussing the first. Your resources. I said, if you have no money. Well, what resources do you have that will help you bring your goals to terms? What resources do you lack and need to acquire? If you own a pencil and paper, you can certainly write a book. It's been done for thousands of years. On the other hand, it may be a much simpler process if you own a laptop. If you need a laptop, do you have the financial resources to acquire one? Can you walk down the street and buy one? Or do you live in the middle of nowhere and only have the general store where, you bought your pencil and paper? If you can't afford to buy one, could you borrow one somewhere? Could you afford to rent one? To finance one? Those are all questions to answer. I would tend to break down this environment in 3 parts: your financial resources, your technological resources, and your tools. Obviously, there can be an overlap between the technology and tools, but technology might also mean having access to internet, and tools could be a hammer. So they're not always the same. Now, it's important to understand that if you lack certain resources for your project to succeed, it doesn't mean that you can't make it happen. It simply means that you may have to first prioritize acquiring the needed resources. You may also find that you're able to carry out certain aspects of your goal, but have to hold back on others while you gather what you need. This brings me to a 4th resource that I held back. That one can make or break the project all by itself, and that resource is time. Just so you know, I'm also holding back on a 5th, but it ties into our next environment, so we'll discuss it in a minute. And while we're off topic, why don't you take a moment and acquire a great resource? Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Time. Is there a time factor that you have to fall within for your project to be successful? Are you trying to release a guide on how to survive COVID in 2021?
Oh my!
But due to a lack of resources, you won't be able to get it done before 2024? Now, a better example might be that you have enough money to carry out a project that requires all your time for the next 3 months. It's also clear that the project will take you 6 months to complete. You either need more financial resources, other resources that will shorten the completion by 3 months, or you need to realize that this project cannot be completed now. If you go ahead and waste your resources now, you will not complete the project and find yourself in a much worse situation in 3 months. Now, this is sometimes the hard reality we have to face. But if we do, we keep that many more resources for when we look at our next endeavor. I did mention there was a 5th resource. That resource is people. Again, taking the same example, let's say I was surviving for 3 months before all by myself. But now, I find a few people willing to help me for free. Or in some way, they help reduce my financial burden. This could mean that the project can now be completed on time. Maybe they brought an expertise that I did not have, and that reduces the time spent on certain aspects. I think you get the point. I also mentioned that this resource was going to be our 3rd environment. People are absolutely one of our most important environments. I will once again split this environment into 2 parts. First, our network, and second, our close relationships. Our network is the people that we meet in our everyday life and that we don't always become close friends with, but we form enough of an initial connection with them to be able to do follow-ups. And if we nurture that connection and we make an effort at keeping it alive, they can become a part of our team when our interests align with theirs. Now, this is an important part of your environment. These are oftentimes the people that will either become resources or provide resources for your projects. When I coach people, this is often an area of environment design that we spend a good amount of time on. The impact of a well-designed network can't be underestimated. Now, I say this, but at the same time, the next item, if it's bad enough, will require 100% of our time and attention. It may be the single thing that could have the most devastating impact on anything you endeavor. It is also the one that can help carry you when everything else seems to fail. Your close relationships. I don't care how well you design every other part of your environment. If you're in an abusive relationship, you will constantly struggle to succeed. Of course, this is an extreme example, but it demonstrates the importance of your close relationships. You must always ask yourself if the people you allow closest to you are encouraging you to succeed or holding you back. If every time you mention a project, the closest people to you give you 1,000 reasons why it should fail. If they make demands on you that take all your energy, or if they're constantly bringing drama into your life, it will have a direct impact on your ability to succeed. If, on the other hand, you're surrounded with people who would love nothing more than to see you succeed, who try to uplift you when you get down on yourself, who will help you in any way they can because they care for you, you will be that much closer to success. This is important, and it could be one of the most difficult areas of environment design. We have to look closely at each person in our life and make an inventory of the influence they have on us. For many of us, this means looking at the closest ones and sometimes reaching the conclusion that even though we love them very much, they will bring us down if we stay close to them. Now, being honest with ourselves here is very important and may be difficult to accomplish. I won't bore you with the whole story, but when I did this exercise for myself the very first time, I went to great lengths to avoid the answers. But eventually, I had to face the truth. If I wanted to move forward, I had to change the people closest to me. Before we go any further, I would highly recommend you like this video. It will accomplish absolutely nothing for you personally, but you will help change my environment by letting the YouTube algorithm know that I exist and someone cares. Also, feel free to leave comments. I rely on those to learn what you'd like to see, and you can also share your own experiences with your environment or with success as a whole. I would love that. I would love for you to share with me. Now, the next environment we'll talk about is your spiritual environment. Don't worry, if you're an atheist, just follow through, you'll see. A lot of this can still apply to you in many ways. What we're referring to here could be looked at as the things that deplete or replenish your inner powers. If you suffer from addiction, if you're constantly overwhelmed, if you're always in a negative headspace, feeling anger, frustration, and such, well, you're certainly starting from a challenged position of power. If you feel positive, experience a sense of well-being, remain calm in the face of adversity, you have developed ways to protect and replenish your energy. Then, well, you're starting from a developed position of power. I will not get into too many details, but many spiritual practices can help develop this. Meditation will help with being calm, breathing exercises, gratitude exercises, learning forgiveness, finding a sacred space for you to replenish and surround yourself with expressions of love and beauty. Those can all be ways to get closer to this inner peace. Now, this ties nicely with our last environment. If you recall, I told you that it's not something we often think of as an environment. It is the environment of self. Now, this includes your knowledge, your skills, your talents. It can also include your beliefs, your mindset, and your character. Your body is also a part of this environment. It is the building blocks that make up who you are as it relates to your ability to succeed. When looking at a project in particular, do you have the necessary skills, the necessary knowledge? Can you bring the project to term? Can you acquire the skills or knowledge that you need? Do you have certain talents that could be used to help the project move forward? Do your beliefs go contrary to the aims of the project? Are they negotiable or not? Are you in the right headspace? Do you have the right mindset? Or do you see 1,000 reasons why it will fail? Can you do anything to change this? Will it resist or propel the project? Are there aspects of the project that could be given to others to complete because those parts fall on your weaknesses? Asking all those questions will allow you to make the proper adjustments and put your strengths to good use while not falling victim of your weaknesses. Your body, your appearance, those are also part of this environment. The way you feed yourself, The way you present yourself. Do you keep yourself in good health? Do you cut your hair? Do you take care of your nails? Do you never shower? Do you smell bad? Do you wear dirty clothes? What impact will this have on the success of your endeavors? Now, I could continue breaking down the multiple facets of your environment and bring it down to an insane granular level. My goal here is not to actually carry out environment design. I think you get the idea. But I wanted to give you an overview of the impact it can have on your life. It comes down to a simple fact. The environment always wins. Do the right thing in the right environment and you will go far. Do the right thing in the wrong environment and you will struggle, like if you had both feet in quicksand. Now that being said, I hope I have managed to convey that you absolutely have power over this. And if you become mindful of the impact your environment has on you, you can redesign it in a way that will move you forward, and success will be yours for the taking. Why don't you make the first change in your environment right here, right now? Hit the subscribe button and notification bell. From this moment on, you will be notified of videos that can help redesign your life. Alright, I hope this video has actually brought value to your life in some way, and that I'll see you on the next ones. In the meantime, I love you. I wish you a fantastic day. Namaste.